say, oh, they work. I'd say, I have their job description. I say, but what do you do when you come every day? Itemize your roles. And then we sit down together and see how, because sometimes it might be how he or she is going about her duties that is making it look like she's doing all. Just reorganizing it for her will just solve our problem. Like even for us in our personal life, sometimes you feel burdened, and when we sit down and reorganize a few things, make a few tweaks, you realize that everything becomes easy. So once they do that, you increase job satisfaction. Definitely, you're going to increase them. I need to run. Okay, I'm almost done, but let's. So of course, lead by example. Lead from the front. You can't create any culture, any brand without actually practicing them and they seeing you do it. If you do it, it's easy for them to follow. Not do as I say, not do as I do. No, you lead from the front. And then communication. You should have an open door policy. I encourage you, although depending on the number of staff and all that, even if it's not directly to you, your leaders should actually, they should be able to approach the leaders, the heads of units, and then talk. And if you have the time and the number is such that you can actually accommodate, encourage an open door policy. Communicating effectively, it builds trust. And then when they know they can come and talk to you about certain things, they're happy with it. But of course, don't let them bypass the organogram. For example, when people come to me and maybe a member of a unit comes to me and say, have you discussed this with your head of department? So sometimes it might have been discussed, but he or she has not done justice to it, which is fine. And then I include the head of department in the new whatever we do to help that person, because you also don't want to upset that line, your organizational structure. And then, we talk about giving employees, I don't even believe in micromanaging them. If you're developing them, they're getting better, you can delegate more things to them. Delegation does not mean, the delegation is that they go and do it, but the responsibility of it being achieved is still yours. And that's something you should tell your heads of. Not that I've told that person to do it. The responsibility is still yours, but someone else is doing it. And then that autonomy, the fact that they can take ownership. It's for high flyers, they like it. The fact that they can take ownership of that particular thing. Then, of course, a positive culture, you're encouraging inclusivity and then mutual respect. There was a time, a long time ago, we had the matron who, because I think I discovered that for people at our level and upward, she's very respectful, but from everybody down, there was a time she called and then she spoke rudely to the sanitary workers. It was very simple. I first spoke to her, then I brought her to apologize to them, because even I would not speak to them like that. And immediately was clear that this place is not where you talk anyhow to anybody. We're all human beings. I know the person might be working lower, might be less than you, but that person is very important somewhere else. Might be husband, father, wife, you understand? And we all have our sense of self-worth. You don't just talk to people. And sometimes, like we know in life, it's just a function of time. It's where we are at this time and place. 5 years down the road, it's very different. If you understand that, you actually are humble. You are humble, and then you deal with respect. Is very, very important when we talk about fostering a positive company for culture. Stay adaptable and agile. Agility, adaptability is the ability to pivot, to change. Your company should be structured in such a way that you don't resist change. And then the communication line is so fast that when you decide to change something from conception to actualization, or from decision to actually actualizing it, should not take a long time. You can't decide that, okay, we no longer want to do this. Maybe you're changing your tariff and then it's taking 1 week before they effect it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So your structure should be easy enough for you to run up and down the chain of command. Just a few tips as we get to the end of the presentation. Conduct regular employee feedback. You should be gathering feedback from them. I talked about regular meetings and then in the personal meetings. There's some people when I notice some things from one of my staff, I meet with them. In fact, sometimes I go to their office, I sit down and talk to them. Because sometimes when they come to your office, the power is still with you. When you go to them, that's their own seat of power. You now become level. So let me talk to you, my friend. They express, thank you very much. Don't buy the water again because you have helped me in presenting, so you have paid back. Then, of course, succession plan. I talked about when you have someone, they should be training the person who can replace them. And that helps promoting from within. And then, yes, employee well-being support. I talked about that. So you're not looking at just their health, physical, you're also considering their mental and emotional well-being. It's important. Mental health is a big thing right now, right? It's important. Don't laugh it off. Because in our own time, there was nothing like mental. That doesn't make it any less important right now. It's important. A lot of us have been scarred. Don't let scar the guys that are coming out. At least they're speaking out. So let's look at that. Of course, I also tell them not to use that as an example, a reason or excuse to be lazy. You get. Then, of course, milestones, birthdays, successes. Even when you recognize, open recognition is beautiful. When you recognize the person in front, and then their birthdays is important. I think you could even have use these Canva designs of their pictures and all of that and put it on the group. Everybody celebrates them. Some people you can buy cakes. My organization gets cakes at the end during our meeting. You understand? So if you have 2, 3, they buy that number of cakes. And then during our meeting at the end of the month, we all sing, pray for them, and they take a larger share. Because we share. But they take a larger share of the cake. You understand it? We're doing a long time. There was one time the admin forgot to buy. I now understood how important that cake, because we had to buy and then give them the next. Sorry, it was on Saturday. We had to buy on Monday to actually share their cake. And then stay up to date with industry trend, because you also have to continue to grow. So that if they're introducing or they're coming up with new tools, you have hired smart, nice people. You have to be smart. And smartness does not necessarily mean that you are smart doing the same thing in what they are doing, but you are smart and you're getting better in management. Your job is to manage. You employ a doctor, you don't need to know more than so that you can, you are not interested in that. How do I manage you to achieve peak performance? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, please sit down. Sit down. Are there questions? Okay, we have one question here, sir. Okay, so he first, then we'll come to you. Good morning, sir.
Millionaires in Nigeria. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the presentation. My question: how do you incentivize staffers that help you look for people like that to come and you give them something? If you look for staff and staff gets eventually employed and it stays, is it you give them something? How do you motivate them to do it? Because some people will say maybe you don't have persons to do because I need staff. But I know when the staffers know that they are going to get something out of that transaction, they will go anywhere. Number two is if you run a school and transportation used to be very good before, but now to get customers outside the school is difficult. You want to now improve your marketing within the community. How do you put candidates and children from that? The best way is to go to the business centers to ask for the staffers' children. When you know that these staffers, the salary they are collecting, do you think their children can attend your school if your school is a very high paid school? How do you improve this? You want to get customers now from the environment, no longer from parties and those of the present situation of fuel and so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let me just try and let me answer, but he will be the next. So I don't forget. Thank you very much. So the first thing about thinking about incentivizing your own staff to bring in people that they know. I feel that the right kind of people should achieve satisfaction from creating job for people they know who are good. You understand what I'm trying to say? The other incentive is that because you have a goal, let's say, for example, you decide in your organization that this year we want to do so much in revenue that the minimum wage, the organization, country is 70, and like our president says that in the organization is over 100. And then it said, I want to do so much, so well, that the least paid is 100,000. You know that the kind of team that would do that, you understand, it's a high performing team, an excellent team. So it's also an incentive to the person to find, oh, this person is good and can help us achieve to bring in that person. So I think the way I answer it personally is to have first a global incentive if we do well. So every other thing they do is for us to do well because there's that global incentive. There might be some other ones, but I personally, I don't know if Ms. Castle Martins would help to also answer that into actual, because I just feel somehow giving something for you to, but except if I want to buy sweets for the person, is no problem. But I don't think that's one. Number two is that if in trying to fill up a position, someone needs an extra money, I'm already questioning the person's commitment to the organization. Do you understand? I'm questioning. Yeah, some of them you might just need to talk to them to set them aright. They might not be bad people, but maybe because of pressing need, they've lost the focus. That's that. Now, in trying to get customers, that's what you're trying to say. Either school or any other business. And you said something which was important. That means well, from what you said, you need a particular type of students because you know what your fees are. And then for people to pay that fees, for the parents to pay, their work should be. So the question is that, where are my customers? Because sometimes your customers, for what you're saying, might not be in your environment. Immediate environment. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Then when you identify where they are, then the question is, where do they go to? Where can I meet them? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So over the top of my head, I know that estates have association meetings. Some people have meetings where they all come. That might be where you want to go to. Do you understand? You might have organizations or gatherings where the question is to go to where they gather. Because if you're doing door to door, it's not going to be very easy. And then social media is for everybody. You know, you push your content out there. And I know that when you can do targeted sponsorship to a particular area and all of that. So you project content from your school, what you do, what's about that, you know that will be attractive to that kind of class of people, and then you push it out there. All right, sir. Thank you.
For instance, should I actually go through the process of recruitment for IT students?
Okay.
For it's very small business that I have been getting like to, and I know that I need those items. Should I go process of recruitment for
Okay. Thank you. So IT students, that's the students in school, and during the period of their IT, yeah, those 3 months are no. Yeah, I think, well, maybe not because they are there for training.
But some of them, in London, where I work with them,
Yes.
some of them I see that they also pollute this little thing that we have. And so
Yeah.
should we go through the process of
Yes, that's what I was even going to say. Thank you. Because you should still go through, maybe not be too hard like this, but one of the things that is important is attitude, character. Because they are coming to learn. If they have poor attitude, they are not going to learn. That's one. And number two, they can actually come in and mess up what you're trying to build. You understand? IT student an IT student might actually have more influence than even a regular staff. They come in and start to suggest all manner of funny. So I think it's important, especially because you are doing them a favor. They also come learn, and of course, when they learn, they can help out with a few things. But I don't think you want to bring in someone you're doing a favor, and then by bringing in that person creates problems for you.
well, in instance whereby
Yes.
when you keep rejecting them and the people you're getting them from say that why you're always rejecting our students and you don't give the right students.
Okay. So I don't think statistically every one of them will be bad. So it's not likely you are rejecting every one of them. And then, like, my experience is, it's just like, if they have the right attitude, a few things might not be right, but if they have the right attitude, they have a teachable spirit. If you actually have conversations with them, they'll be fine. I'll give you an example. I had an IT lady come join us, I think it was last year. In fact, I saw her, interestingly, she actually looked like an old friend of mine, striking resemblance, but not of the same tribe. In fact, there was a joke I didn't say to her that maybe her father, gave birth to us. But she came, was okay. But when she started, addressing was not presentable. She wear crazy jeans. Do you understand? She's a young lady, maybe 20, 21. You get what I'm trying to say. And then when I noticed that, I naturally don't call ladies directly to discuss such. I just called her head of department. And haven't you observed? She said yes. That she spoke to, okay, please tell her that if she cannot change what she's wearing, she stop coming. Do you understand? Because I asked about other things, she's fine, she's respectful, but that's just our own identity or whatever, that phase of life. That might just be a phase, you understand? And then she changed. Of course, you discover that the dressing was.
My Pareto principle, 20% of those people will not follow you. Either they like it, they don't like coming for lecture, they don't like when you come to them, despite all your talk, you just want to leave the board. So, what is your DRI system if you want to find somebody? Because about a counter, about 2 weeks ago, I was talking to the guy. Have you ever been given a query before? They give him a query by the manager. He went to the manager and said, "Why will you give me a query?" And our system says that once they give you a query, you ask why they give you a query, they give you another query. Once you ask another question, they give you another query. By the time the query gets to sit in your hand, know that you are almost going out of the company already. So I asked him, I was talking to him, I've ever been given a query before? I said no. So where you have worked before, how did they fire you? Just said the MD will just call him and say, you are not working. So people are used to that. They don't want to collect query from people, like they are scared. I told him that queries give you opportunity to actually explain yourself properly.
Exactly.
So what is your DRing system?
Okay.
Then this one.
Them. Now, in terms of, depending on the role, there are some roles you might not bother yourself attending the interviews. But the higher the role, the more important it is that you are there to actually sit in. It might be at the final phase. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that's how you have a system. You have people who are responsible, they have their job description, and you empower them well enough to be able to screen people. And then when you have maybe about 4 or 5 candidates, then that interview where they all sit down might be where you will sit in. And then so that's how you create a system. I like what you said about DRing, because when people actually err, when you have staff that do something that they're not supposed to, give a query. It gives them, he has said it well, give them an opportunity to explain themselves. Then you can then make a judgment. Then also, you've given them a feedback. Sometimes it might not be up to giving a query. It might be calling them into your office and having a conversation. Like I said, sometimes I go to them. So they know that there's something I've done, I'm doing that the organization do not like. And then it's an opportunity for them to change. And if they've not done that, when you get to a point where you know that you can no longer continue, they should not be surprised. You understand? Because they know that they have been given opportunity to change, but I did not do that. And then we've said, it's also in the book, you don't just, okay, yes, you fire, and sometimes it's also good, actually, to explain to them why they are being let go. Because the fact that they can no longer continue with you, you don't wish them that they should not succeed in life. You want it to be a learning, part of their learning curve, so that they take the lessons from this place. When they go to the next place, they actually do not repeat the same mistake. All right. Any other question? Okay. I have a question. Okay.
In terms of referencing, right, I want to do like a first formality because in most cases, even when you have policies that they don't use resumes, right, you have a potential employee
Yes.
that might have worked somewhere else. It's possible for that person to have good relationship with other people in that organization and use them as reference. So to get an unbiased response is usually very difficult.
Yeah. I said that yes, we're not, that won't be, you're using different criteria. That would not score high. But you might actually be lucky that even the person they had good relationship will tell you that there's just a tiny but. And that, what they consider to be a tiny but might be a major thing for you. So please, we should not take it as formality. Let's reach out to them. And then if you reach out and discover that, or you look at it and say, how is this person related to you? And you find out that there's some relatives among them. You can ask them can you give me 3 other referees? Right there, while they're sitting in front of you. 3 other referees. Maybe give me one person from where you've worked, someone from here. Can I have their numbers and can I call them? If they give you a number and you call and they cannot even remember them, especially if it's the place they worked maybe a few months or a year ago, then that means they were not memorable. And they didn't do anything. They were just part of the bunch. And really, you want high flyers, people who do very well. Do you understand? Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful audience. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.